Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of our dais and the presentation of our nation's colors. Good morning. On behalf of our dais, I would like to welcome you all to the Police Academy for today's Transit Bureau K9 Unit graduation ceremony. To begin, please remain standing for the singing of the National Anthem by Police Officer Taylor Cannon.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Officer Cannon. Please remain standing for the invocation by Police Department Deputy Chief Chaplain Father George Anastasiou.
Brothers and sisters, let us bow our heads, mindful that we are always in the presence of Almighty God, Heavenly King, Comforter, the Spirit of truth, who are ever present and fill all things. We humbly bow our heads in awe of your magnificent glory and to offer profound and wholehearted thanks for bringing us together as a family in the New York City Police Department and affording us the distinct honor and pleasure to honor all those first responders who gave of themselves and offered the ultimate sacrifice. And so, Heavenly Father, in bringing us together, we thank you so that we have the opportunity to honor, salute the life, service, and ultimate sacrifice of all of our first responders. May they rest in perpetual peace. May you comfort all the families of blood and the family of blue. And as always, Heavenly God, we ask that you return every single member of this department home to their families who anxiously await their safe return. Amen.
Thank you, Father George. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce the members seated on our dais. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Starting on my right, the Executive Officer of Transit Bureau, Deputy Chief Norman Grandstaff. Executive Officer Patrol Borough Queens North, Deputy Chief Raymond Porteous. Commanding Officer Patrol Borough Manhattan North, Assistant Chief Raul Stevenson. Commanding Officer Patrol Borough Queens North, Assistant Chief Christine Bastiedenbeck. Chief of Training, Lolo Obey. Chief of Special Operations, Wilson Arambulis. Chief of Police, MTA, John J. Mueller. Chief of Transit, Michael Kemper. Police Department Deputy Chief Chaplain, Father George Anastasiou. Deputy Commissioner, Employee Relations, Lisa White. Deputy Commissioner, Equity and Inclusion, Wendy Garcia. The Commanding Officer of Transit Bureau Special Operations Division, Deputy Inspector Jonathan Bobbin. Commanding Officer Transit Bureau K9 Unit, Lieutenant John Pappas. And the President of the Police Benevolent Association, Patrick Hendry. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our dais, and we thank them for being here today. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Chief of Transit, Michael Kemper.
Good morning. So first off, I just want to thank everyone that's sitting up on the dais for being here with us today. Good morning to all. When I came here, I saw Lieutenant Pappas, and he says, "Boss, this is the greatest Transit K9 graduating ceremony in the world." And I have to agree with him. I'm a little taken aback by just how many people are here, and it really speaks volumes to the meaning behind this. And even our friends at the fire department even came out to see us graduate our dogs. But listen, in attendance also, I want to recognize, and there's a group of men who are sitting over there that really paved the way for where we are right now. These are the original, or OGs, how we call them right now, Transit K9 cops. Thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for being here with us today. Stand up. Look, I'm a history buff. No greater history than the NYPD. My dad was a cop, and I truly, with all sincerity, I look up to you, and I'm looking at you guys like some people look at Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth, and I don't mean that discouraging, about your ages, but just my sincere, deepest respect for each and every one of you, for everything you've done. So thank you for being here with us today. But look, as I approach the one-year anniversary of being the Chief of Transit, I got to admit, I came into this role, and my understanding of how we protect or how we police the subway system was limited, at best limited. And this is true even considering when I got assigned to this position, I had 30-plus years of service on the NYPD, but I never worked a day in transit. I quickly learned just how unique and nuanced policing the subway system can be. I also quickly learned just how special, and to be quite frank, just how amazing New York City transit cops are. And I mean that with all sincerity. So to every transit cop who's in attendance today, whether active, retired, or former, thank you very much for all you've done and do each and every day. Round of applause, yeah. Transit for life, I think, is the motto. Once transit, always transit, right? Look, I remember when I got here, I looked at the org chart, studying the boroughs, specialty units, the districts, looking over the names of the leadership team in the Transit Bureau, looking at the cast of characters assigned to the Transit Bureau, and truth be told, we have a lot of characters in the Transit Bureau, myself included. But one name and one unit immediately caught my attention, and that was Lieutenant John Pappas and his K9 unit. I was like, when I got here, I was like, wow, we got a K9 unit in transit? Like how cool is that? And, truth be told, whenever I see a K9 handler or a K9 cop with their dog, I always make it a point to say hello, ask what the dog's name is, what the history is behind the name, and take a picture. It just never, ever gets old. And for those of you that know Lieutenant Pappas, we can all agree that his dedication is unmatched and his knowledge is second to none. And, after speaking to him, when I do speak to him, I always walk away with a newfound knowledge and all of my questions answered, along with answers to probably a couple dozen questions I didn't even ask. But for those of you that know him, I kid, but maybe I don't kid. But look, simply put, Lieutenant Pappas knows his stuff. He's a tireless leader. He's a subject matter expert, and he's an ambassador to the world of police, canine policing. And under his leadership, some of the finest canine teams in this nation have been trained and developed right here at the NYPD Transit Bureau. And today, we proudly add to those ranks. A K9 graduation ceremony in NYPD is unlike any other. It's unique in that it's both a recognition of the hard work of the graduating handlers and a recognition of the fallen for whom their partners are named after. It's a ceremony that blends the joy of a rite of passage achieved for one family with the somberness of a loved one taking too soon for another. The journey for our graduates was anything but a cakewalk. It wasn't easy. Beyond the application process and the screening process, our candidates endured a physical test that really put them through their paces. From grueling stair climbs at one of the city's deepest subway stations to the stark understanding of what hundreds of pounds of pressure from a dog's bite feels like, only to do that multiple times. To simulating the rescue of their four-legged partner, and so much more. It really makes it clear for our candidates from day one, how much do I really want this? Well, with us today are the men and women who truly wanted it, who embody commitment, and now who join an elite unit within the NYPD that numbers only in the dozens. The bond forged between a handler and their K9 over the past several months is more than just a partnership, but akin to a marriage. And like a marriage, it is in most cases a lifelong bond and a lifelong commitment. To the families of our newest handlers, thank you for supporting your loved ones in their journey and for opening your homes to welcoming another member to your family. If we give a round of applause to the families. And to the families of the fallen, the 17 K9s with us today bear the names of those whose stories merit telling and retelling. We count amongst those we honor today young partners who went to aid a fellow New Yorker during a domestic violence call, an officer who rushed into the towers that fateful September day, a sergeant who succumbed to illness from his work at Ground Zero in the aftermath, to a young soldier killed in a defense of freedom in Iraq, and to two beloved members of the Transit Bureau's family who called Transit Bureau headquarters at 130 Livingston Street their home. It would be a disservice for me to sum up their stories here, to try to speak for what they meant to you and to us. Instead, we let their namesakes, the K9s, speak for them. And when people young and old ask, hey, what's your dog's name? Well, that's an opportunity. Well, that's a moment for you to uphold our commitment to share their stories. Not just how they fell, but how they served, and more importantly, how they lived their lives. And although moments like that, and they will be aplenty, we get to honor our promise to never, ever forget our own. In closing, again, I want to thank each and every one of you, whether sitting on a dais or sitting in the seats in front of me, for being here today. And I want to truly, and with all sincerity, congratulate and thank the newest members of the Transit Bureau's K9 team. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Kemper. It's now my pleasure to introduce the President of the Police Benevolent Association, Patrick Hendry.
Good morning. First, I want to welcome our families here today to this ceremony, which is a very special part of a tradition that we have here in the police department. As police officers, there are many ways that we can honor our hero officers. But there's no street sign, no plaque that can compare to what we're doing here today. These K9 teams will bring hope and comfort to our hero families and keep the names alive of our hero officers. They now have the names of great men and women who dedicated their lives to this city. They may have worked in different commands across this city, different boroughs, but they had the same common goals: to look out for their fellow police officers and to protect New Yorkers. And that's exactly what these K9 teams are going to do. That's their goals: to patrol the subways, patrol the streets with the same dedication that our hero officers that they did. And it's not possible that they can do this without the K9 handlers. Special police officers are K9 handlers. It takes a special police officer, not just with a police officer with skill, but a police officer with compassion and trust. And after a long, hard training, these police officers now have a partner that they can trust, that will be with them 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's a different kind of partner, a partner that doesn't put on the uniform of a New York City police officer, but a partner that will carry the name of a true hero who made New York City a better and safer place. And that's exactly what these K9 teams are going to do also: make New York City a better and safer place. I can't think of a better tribute to our fallen heroes than what we're doing here today. God bless you all.
Thank you, Patrick. It is now my pleasure to introduce the commanding officer of the Transit Bureau K9 Unit, Lieutenant John Pappas.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lieutenant John Pappas, and I'm the commanding officer of the NYPD's Transit Bureau K9 Unit. Thank you for attending our graduation ceremony today, and I would like to thank everyone around the world who is watching us via the live stream on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. At this time, I would like everyone in the audience to stand and observe a moment of silence for the victims of the horrific terror attack in Israel. Thank you. You may be seated. In 1980, New York was a rough place. There were 1,814 homicides, nearly 100 more than in 1979, and the numbers were increasing. Crime was getting worse. New York City was like the Wild West, and it earned the nickname the Rotten Apple. The subway was one of the scariest places to be. It was infested by crime and lawlessness. So in an effort to fight the crime, the New York City Transit Police decided to create one of the world's first mass transit K9 units. They chose Sergeant Matthew Stanish to create this unit. They chose wisely. Sergeant Matty Stanish and 12 officers, who came to be known as the Dirty Dozen, went to the Philadelphia Police Department to complete an accredited patrol training course that was conducted by Officer Jack Apollonia. When their training was done and they began patrolling the subways, the impact they made was immediate. It was shock and awe before the term was coined by the military. To this day, I have retired transit officers telling me how valuable they were to protecting fellow officers, how feared they were by the bad guys, and how loved by the good people that rode our trains. Matty Stanish and his transit police K9 teams were exactly what the subway needed. The success and utility of these K9 teams prompted a unit expansion over the years, where that group of 13 grew to 50, making it the largest and one of the best K9 units in the United States. In 1995, the New York City Transit and Housing Police Departments were absorbed by the New York City Police Department. For a short time, the Transit K9 unit was kept separate from SOD K9. That was the unit that the NYPD had. In 1997, the Transit K9 unit was merged with the NYPD SOD K9 unit. After the units combined, the K9 policing of the subway ceased to exist. In our presence today, we have the privilege of having the surviving members of the Dirty Dozen join us for this event. These officers were pioneers in their field and laid a path for future handlers to follow. Many of them flew in from faraway places, and others still live nearby. I would like to thank their families for coordinating and organizing their travel to this event. Gentlemen, please stand or raise your hand when you hear your name. Detective Condi. Detective Condi, thank you for being here today, despite the loss of a recent family member, your daughter. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your presence here today. Police Officer Washington. Police Officer Solomon. Police Officer Mesa. Detective Brown. Police Officer Provenzana. Sergeant Lang. Sergeant Keum. Detective Brenner. Police Officer Doan. And representing Deputy Inspector Matt Stanish is his son, Jim. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today. You honor us with your presence, and we hope that we have made you proud of the continuation of our legacy in canine policing. We will enjoy our little reunion when the ceremony concludes. In the reality of a post-9/11 world, the NYPD realized that it needed a new specialized canine unit which could protect the densest urban environment in the United States, the New York City subway system. The volume of pedestrian traffic combined with the confined subterranean spaces makes it one of the most sought-after terror targets in the nation. In 2005, as a newly minted lieutenant, I was tasked by the police commissioner with creating the NYPD Transit Bureau Canine Unit. The mission of this unit is to be a proactive, pedestrian, and train-based canine patrol that will detect, deter, respond, and mitigate a terrorist attack. In creating the unit, I knew I had a lofty reputation to uphold. The New York City Transit Police Canine Unit was known as one of the best canine units in the country. I wasn't going to let them down, so I started from scratch. I assembled my team. I obtained dogs, training, equipment, vehicles, turnout location, limited funding too, and created a policy. By the fall of 2006, I had put out our first 4 canine teams to be in the subway system in nearly a decade. Those first few years were rough, but luckily I had assembled a great group of officers and sergeants. The tough times we experienced made us more determined to succeed and excel we did. Over the course of the last 18 years, we took that reputation that was left for us and used it as a platform to build and expand our reputation in canine policing. Today, the NYPD Transit Bureau Canine Unit is recognized internationally as a leader in canine policing. The following is a list of some of the accomplishments of this unit. The first unit to use multi-purpose canines. This means one dog that is certified to do explosives, patrol, and tracking. That's like having 3 dogs in one. The first unit to use female dogs. The first all-female team in canine, meaning the handler, the dog, and the dog was named after the first female police officer, Irma Lozada, killed in the line of duty. The first to expand the use of other breeds beyond German Shepherds, including Belgian Malinois, German Shorthair Pointers, Springer Spaniels, a black and tan hound. First to deploy proactive pedestrian and train-based canine patrols. The first to bring vapor wake detection canine program to the NYPD. The first to train passenger screening canines. The first to train counter-suicide bomber observation and interdiction teams. First, to create and deploy the concept of K9s as four-legged chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive detection platform, giving us the ability to detect unconventional weapons and explosives. This is our TREAD program. We want to thank Blue Force Development for working with us to take my idea and make it a reality. The first to certify K9 teams under the Department of Defense standard. The first unit to provide nutritional and medical care to retired K9s, which later became the agency standard. To this day, we're one of the few agencies in the country that takes care of its retired police K9s. Additionally, I am proud to announce to you that we are now the largest K9 unit within the New York City Police Department and the largest mass transit K9 unit in the Western Hemisphere. What is even more remarkable is that in combination with our regional mass transit partners at the MTA Police, Amtrak Police, and Port Authority Police K9 units, New York has the largest contingent of mass transit-specific K9s anywhere in the world. But how do we get here? How were all these milestones achieved? Everyone sees and admires the final product, the handler and his K9 partner, but few understand what it takes to formulate that specific team and the general success of the unit. Today, I will tell you what it takes to make a successful K9 team. First Deputy Commissioner Tanya Kinsella, Chief Madry, Chief Kemper, Chief Grandstaff, Chief Porteous, Deputy Inspector Bobbin, Captain Soares, all the members of this dais are our executive leadership that supports our operations. We are only as good as you allow us to be. And this is why we are an excellent unit, because of your leadership and support. Thank you. The K9 sergeants are the frontline supervisors who ensure that our K9 teams are operating efficiently and safely on their daily deployments. Without them, the unit would fail. They lead from the front as K9 handlers themselves. Sergeants Mark Richardson, Carmen Mateo, Michael Goggins, Edwin Rodriguez, Scott Hughes, Christopher Tabbing, and recently retired Sergeants Christopher Jezik, Randy Brenner, Lisa Velez, and Brenda Graham. You are among the best K9 supervisors anywhere. Our K9 handlers have to endure a grueling screening process to enter the unit. Once they are accepted, they have to get through their K9 training school, which is a very difficult accomplishment. Then, they have to patrol the crowded conditions of the New York City subway system while maintaining control of their partner. This is one of the most difficult assignments that a K9 handler can have. These are the men and women who patrol the subways, buses, ferries, and trams of New York City on a daily basis, interacting with over 1 billion, with a B, commuters annually. Thank you for being among the best K9 handlers anywhere. I would like to thank the families of our K9 handlers for having to put up with department property that comes home with their loved ones. The difference is that unlike other department property, this one is living, breathing, thinking, and needs to be fed, exercised, and cleaned up after. Thank you for putting up with the dog hair, the odors, and the challenges of having a police K9 living in your home. And when the time comes, as it inevitably does, thank you for the loving end-of-life care that you selflessly provide to our four-legged partners. Thank you for loving and supporting our handlers. K9 policing is a small, insular, and independent community. Although each K9 unit has mission-specific deployments and training, we depend on each other for our training and certification needs. For example, although each unit trains its own dogs, we cannot certify them. Upon completion of the training, the K9 teams are brought to an outside agency for testing and certification, according to state guidelines. Additionally, we have demonstrated over the last 8 years that when we are needed the most, the various K9 units in our area come together to work as a cohesive unit. No one had to tell us to do this, but when we train together regionally like we do, we understand each other better and are able to coordinate our limited resources to increase the coverage of our K9 teams at the scene of critical incidents. I would like to thank the K9 units from the MTA, New York City Corrections, NYPD CRC, NYPD Bomb Squad, NYPD ESU, FDNY, Port Authority Police, Amtrak, Nassau County Sheriff, Nassau County Police, Suffolk County Police, Orange County Sheriffs, New York State Police, ATF, FBI, Secret Service, and all the other K9 teams for continuing to work together in our region to make our policing specialty even more effective. I am proud to say that nowhere else in the world are the multitude of police K9 teams as united as they are in New York City. Securing our city involves creating partnership with like-minded police departments from around the world. No one does this better than the NYPD Foreign Liaison Program. We have worked closely with our detectives who are posted in every corner of the globe to create and foster collaborative international K9 relationships. This exchange of information and training helps to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of both of our K9 programs. Right now, our international K9 partners are watching us through live stream. These partners include the police K9 units in London, the Metropolitan Police, the British Transport Police, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the Vancouver Transit Police, Israel, Bahrain, Germany, Belgium, Greece, Spain, France, Via Rail Police in Canada, Holland, Austria, Mexico, Jordan, and Australia. These relationships are not virtual. They are real and tangible relationships, and I know my counterparts on the other side of that live stream on a first-name basis. In March, I was in London speaking with my counterpart, Paul Miles at the British Transport Police, and Police Constable Kai Shepard of the Metropolitan Police. In August, we hosted a delegation from the Israeli National K9 Unit, and just a few weeks later, less than 30 days ago, I visited them at their facility in Israel. To my counterpart who's watching me right now, Shlomi, I want you to know that the NYPD in the United States stands with you after the horrific terror attacks from this past weekend. We pray for you and the victims and their families. Also in our audience today, we have officers from Toronto and the Dominican Republic. Thank you to all of our foreign partners. Creating and running a K9 unit is an expensive endeavor. The K9 teams need specialized equipment that will keep them healthy and working properly. Director Luann Morris, Assistant Director Anthony Dana, and their knowledgeable team at the NYPD Grants Unit are critical to our operation. They provide the financial support to this and other specialized units in the department with little fanfare. They are very effective and skilled at what they do. Thank you. Because commanding a K9 unit is such a unique specialty within policing, there are very few people I can turn to for advice. I would like to thank my longtime mentors, retired MTA Police Captain John Kerwick, retired MTA Police Lieutenant William Finucane, and retired Nassau County Police Sergeant John Hill for their guidance and assistance during the 18 years that I have commanded this unit. I would also like to thank my regional K9 commanders who are present today for all their assistance and cooperation. They have always been there whenever I needed them. Thank you. When our canines need medical attention, they get the best at the Animal Medical Center. I would like to thank Helen Irving, her predecessor Catherine Coyne, and their expert staff for the professional and compassionate care that they provide to our canine partners. From rendering assistance on September 11th, rendering advice with breeds and breeders, to partnering in community outreach programs, the American Kennel Club has been a great partner to the NYPD and the United States Police Canine Association. I would like to thank President Dennis Sprung, Sarah Bank, and the entire staff at the AKC. The Police Foundation has always been there to assist all of the NYPD's animal units whenever we have needed them. I would like to thank Greg Roberts, Taylor Kahn, and everyone at the Foundation for working with us to make our units better and more accessible to the citizens of our city. If you ever wonder where the baseball cards come from, it comes from them. Our canine vendors are the supply line of the amazing dogs that you will meet shortly. Pine Shadow Kennels has excellent Springer Spaniels that have turned out to be some of our best explosive detection canines. Dr. Cynthia Otto from the University of Pennsylvania and her expert staff at Penn Vet program have provided us with some of the best working Labradors we have ever had. Finally, the vast majority of our canines come through Shallow Creek Kennels. John and Lisa Brannon, Maddie, Alma, and the rest of their expert staff have provided us with excellent dogs of all breeds and wonderful customer service. Thank you to all of our dog vendors for their hard work and commitment to both the dogs as well as the missions they go on to provide. Sometimes when we start to feel that the world is turned against the police, there are civilians from our communities we serve who step up and remind us that they do support and care for our police animals. People like Linda Blick from Tales of Hope, Barbara Ross from Ross Communications, Evangelia Tsausis, a local second-grade teacher who organized a school trip to the canine base with her second-grade class to meet the dogs and give us a few chew toys. Cornelius Craig from the U.S. Tennis Association, Rhonda Rowland Sharir, Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, who organized a toy drive for our canines, Joanne Del Preti, who's a big supporter of the United States Police Canine Association, this unit, and all local police canines, and of course, Margaret Foxmore, who's the unit's adopted professional photographer and recently put together the photos of our dogs that are in a tributary photo book that honors canine policing. That book is now published in the National Library of Congress. These people are always there for us, checking up on us to make sure that we have what we need for our animals, that we have the training we need, and when times get tough, to stand with us. This canine region is lucky to have you all. The New York State Division of Homeland Security Services and Emergency Services have supported us through grant funding and by providing large, cutting-edge training scenarios at their vast and modern training facility in Oriskany, New York. I would like to thank Ms. Katie Joel, Ms. Megan Dudley, Mr. Robert DeLarocco, Mr. Robert Stallman, and Ms. Nicole Erickson for their support. I would like to thank Chief Obey, the Chief of Training, Inspector Yakatali, the Commander of the Police Academy, and their staff for allowing us to train and graduate in this wonderful facility. Thank you to Pat Hendry and the PBA, and to Vincent Vellalong from the SBA for always supporting us and providing the food and refreshments. Thank you to Sergeant Jelsic and the ceremonial unit for ensuring that today's event is a memorable one. Thank you to Chief McPherson and his staff at the Family Assisted Section for caring for our line of duty families. Thank you to Carla Cacavalli and our line of duty families for always being here to support us. I would also like to acknowledge Officers Danielle Bonanno and David Lasseter, Justin Gelban, for working very hard to coordinate all aspects of today's ceremony. This is months in the planning, and everyone watching this event is grateful for all the hours you put into making this the best canine graduation in the world. Thank you. To the families of our honorees, those that we are naming our canines after, we want to thank you for giving us this honor today. When we go on patrol, we go out as a team of three: the handler, the canine, and the spirit of our honoree. The bond that is created when we do this is one of the strongest bonds between human and animal anywhere. We go out there proud of who we are, how hard we work to get here, and remembering the sacrifices of those that came before us. We go out there, just like they did, to make this little corner of the world where God placed us better than it was before. Thank you for the honor that you have bestowed upon us and allowing us to name our dogs after yours and our fallen heroes. Finally, we need to acknowledge one of the most critical components that have made today possible. The canine instructors of our unit are the ones that put these canine teams together. From selecting the canine, matching it up with the right handler, training them to work together as a team, to recognize explosive odor, and training them to operate in one of the most difficult and inhospitable patrol environments on the planet for a canine. They spend months putting these teams together and then years advancing and maintaining them. They are amongst the most dedicated canine instructors in the United States. Their work and dedication are recognized internationally. They are Sergeant Christopher Tabbing, the director of the canine instructors, Detective Frank Verico, Detective Pavel Bialik, Detective Kate Schamberger, Police Officer Michael Eisler, Police Officer Christopher Canali. Sergeant Tabbing and all of the instructors have done an excellent job building on the foundation of the unit's original set of instructors: Sergeant Brenner, Detective Rothschild, Detective Spector, Detective Geraci, Detective Ramirez, and Police Officer, now Lieutenant, David Gomez. One instructor in particular deserves special recognition: Police Officer Christopher Canali. When I tell people that we have one of the best canine units in the world, people often ask me, how do you measure that? By what metrics? This past year, in addition to training some of the canine teams that you will meet today, Police Officer Canali and his fellow instructors led a group of our canine teams to the United States Police Canine Association National Trials. The USPCA is the nation's oldest and largest police canine association and has nearly 3,000 canine teams nationally. Its central mission is the training and certification of police canines to a high standard. In order to qualify for the Nationals, you must first score high enough in the regional certifications. Because of the leadership of Police Officer Canale and the efforts of the NYPD Transit K9 teams that attended, our unit has 4 of the top 10 explosives dogs in the country. As if that were not impressive enough, Officer Canale came in first place nationally for the category of multi-purpose canine. These accomplishments are noteworthy. We are lucky to have instructors as talented and dedicated as this. They are the ones that create some of the best and most proficient canine teams anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a glimpse into what it takes to create a successful canine team and unit. All of these people have led us to this moment. Now it's time to meet our graduating canine teams. I will ask that when the families of the honorees see their respective canine, that they approach the podium, please. Sergeant Emmanuel Alonghi. Manny was a person who loved God and the Bible. He loved listening to music and reading, going for a jog at Jones Beach, or laying in a beach chair in the backyard. He was a loving father to Angelina and loved his family. He loved being a sergeant at the NYPD and served the city of New York for 18 years. He had many friends and was loved by all who knew him. Canine 4 is named Manny in honor of Sergeant Emmanuel Alonghi. Police Officer Ariana Reyes Gomez. Ariana was born in the Dominican Republic and moved to the United States in 2010. Like many who immigrated here, she came here for a better life. She was a happy, loving, and giving person who lived to help others. She was a hard worker, and she was very compassionate to the people she served. She was very generous with her time and quietly helped people in need, whether it was helping others with paperwork and even going as far as to pay for someone's cesarean section procedure. Above all, she loved her family, especially her son. Canine 5 is named Ari in honor of Police Officer Ariana Reyes Gomez. Police Officer Jack Apollonia, Philadelphia Police Department Canine Unit. In 1980, when the original group of canine trainees went to the Philadelphia Police Canine Unit for their training, they were met by Police Officer Jack Apollonia. Jack trained this first group and shortly after retired from the Philadelphia Police and became the unit's first canine instructor so that he can continue to train and maintain these canine teams. He also trained the unit's first internal canine instructors. Jack started one of the best canine units in the country. In turn, the Transit K9 unit trained the first canine teams from the Port Authority Canine Unit. The Port Authority Canine Unit then trained the first canine teams of the Metro North Police Canine Unit, which became the MTA Police Canine Unit. And when I started the NYPD Transit Bureau Unit, the MTA Police Canine Unit assisted us as well. So what Jack helped to create came full circle. I would say that he was one of the forefathers of modern canine units within our region. The New York City Transit Police and the NYPD Police will not forget what Jack did for this area. Canine 6 is named Jackie in honor of police officer Jack Apollonia. Police Officer Leonardo Chavez, Transit Bureau Special Operations Division. Leo started with the police department in March of 2000 and was a dedicated transit officer for 22 years. He worked in the Transit Districts 33, 34, and Citywide Vandals Task Force. For the last 10 years of his career, he worked at the transit headquarters in special projects and the special operations alongside officers he'd known most of his career. Family and friends were the most important thing to Leo. For 25 years, he was a devoted husband, loving father, thoughtful son, supportive brother, and loyal friend. His two children, Sydney and Landon, were his everything. He filled his time off from work attending sporting practices and games with Landon and attending dance competitions to watch his daughter perform. Leo had a quiet, authentic confidence that led him to be an excellent communicator and listener. He was always kind and respectful of others on and off the job. The people who knew Leo best and were part of his inner circle will all agree that Leo's finest quality was a sense of humor along with his infectious smile. He knew how to not take himself so seriously and lighten the moods of the people around him. It was his gift to know just what to say at the right moment to cause laughter. His wife said that when she saw the first few photos of the canine we were naming in his honor, the dog was staring straight at the camera with his tongue out. He looked as though he was smiling, and it made her smile. Her hope is that canine Leo's smile has the same positive impact on people, the effect that only a smile can provoke, just as her husband's did. Canine 86 is named Leo in honor of Leonardo Chavez. Police Officer Ramon Suarez, Transit District 4. Police Officer Ramon Ray Suarez was appointed to the Transit Police Department on January 20th, 1987. On the early morning of September 11, 2001, he and his canine partner, Police Officer Mark Ellis, responded to the World Trade Center attacks to assist in the evacuation of victims in the North Tower. He entered multiple times, saving numerous lives, until he was not to be seen again that day when the towers fell. We are honored to have his family present today to demonstrate that this hero is never to be forgotten and to honor him. His daughter is also a member of the New York City Police Department. K9 90 is named Ray in honor of Police Officer Raymond Suarez. Police Officer Frank Knopf, Transit District 2. Officer Knopf lived for his family. He did everything for his two children, Christina and Angelo. He was a soccer coach for both of his children's teams, as well as serving in the Terryville Soccer Club president, continuing with this even after he became ill. He taught his kids to swim, and the family were avid swimmers because of him. He always did the heavy lifting for the holidays, whether it was manning the barbecue on the 4th of July, going trick-or-treating, organizing the Easter egg hunts, or setting up the numerous Christmas blow-ups, all to the delight of his children. His wife, Carmela, describes him as a jack of all trades, always able to help out at the house, whether it was with car maintenance or household upgrades. He was always there to lend a hand, and this attitude extended to his NYPD family as well. I am proud to say that when I was a sergeant in Transit District 2, I had the privilege to train Frank when he was a rookie. He was a go-getter and a pleasure to supervise. He went on to become an active cop and was tasked with mentoring many a rookie in District 2. He was kind and knowledgeable and sent many police officers on the road to success. He was a great cop. K9 84 is named Frankie in honor of Police Officer Frank Knopf. Detective Anastasios Tsakos, Highway 3. Tasso was born in Dover, New Hampshire in 1977. His family moved to Greece when he was 4. He returned to the United States when he was 15 and graduated from St. Demetrius High School in Astoria. He then attended Dowling College and graduated with a bachelor's degree in aviation. Afterward, he returned to Greece, joined the Army, where he rose to the rank of lieutenant. Upon completion of his military service, he returned to the United States and joined the NYPD with a vision of entering the aviation unit. Upon completion of the academy, he was assigned to the 83rd Precinct and then decided to apply to the Highway Patrol. One of his many passions was riding motorcycles. Of course, he was from Greece. He was a skilled rider and even wanted to be an instructor in highway so that he could do what was natural to him, and that was lead by example. When he got on the radio, there was no mistaking who it was. He had that heavy Greek accent with a matter-of-fact manner of speaking. You couldn't help but laugh sometimes. Tasso was a man whom everyone wanted to be around. He was witty, humorous, quick-minded, but above all, extremely humble. He was a selfless and devoted family man who absolutely adored his wife, Irene, and their two beautiful children, Evgenia and Stavros. His family was everything to him. Tasso was also a huge animal lover. In fact, he came across many animals saving radio runs within his time in the Highway Patrol. He especially loved dogs, He was always there for the people that needed him in his life. He was also a member of the St. Paul Society. He was the definition of the word philotimos, which translates to friend of honor. Eonia imnimitu. K9 92 is named Tasso in honor of Detective Anastasios Tsakos. Sergeant John Paul Cummings, Scuba Unit. In the words of his daughter Laura, my dad was an inspiration to me in every way. He was a sergeant on the NYPD scuba team, and after retiring, went back to school and became a radiation therapist. He worked on TWA Flight 800 and on September 11th. He completed multiple eco-challenges and Ironmans, and eventually went on to qualify for the Ironman World Championships in Kona. His accolades in the workplace and his athleticism pale in comparison to who he was as a person. The best husband to my mother, the best brother to my uncles, the best uncle to my cousins, the best dad to me and my brother, and the best friend to so many. I will spend the rest of my life trying to emulate him. Stubbornly tough and relentlessly kind, we are so honored that Joe thought of him when he decided to name K9 Kona. K9 91 is named Kona in honor of Sergeant Paul Cummings. Becca. Detective Jason Rivera, 32nd Precinct. Detective Rivera's life was devoted to helping others. He grew up in Manhattan's Inwood neighborhood before the concept of neighborhood policing became policy, and he joined the NYPD with the goal of bettering relationships between the communities and those that police them. Many described him as a positive person who always gave 100%, motivated and cheery with a warm smile, all he wanted to be, as he put it in a letter he wrote to his CO, part of the greatest police force in the world. K9 88 is named Knox in honor of Detective Jason Rivera. Detective Wilbert Mora, 32nd Precinct. Wilbert was born in the Dominican Republic and arrived in New York City at the age of 7 years old. Growing up in East Harlem at such a young, early age, he knew he wanted to be one of New York's finest. Detective Mora attended and graduated from John Jay College. Joining the NYPD at 23 years of age, he served for 4 years out of the 32nd Precinct in Harlem. Detective Mora was known for his towering size, amazing work ethic, and was quick to show himself as a leader. He was the youngest of 3 siblings. Wilbert was kind and full of life. He would light up a room with his fabulous smile. Detective Mora never had the chance to marry or have children, but the donation of his heart, liver, 2 kidneys, and pancreas allowed others to celebrate life's milestones. K9 87 is named Wilbert in honor of Detective Wilbert Mora. I would also like to inform our audience that our unit is responsible for coordinating the ceremonial canine lineups at police department funerals. For the funerals of Detective Mora and Rivera, we had over 160 canine teams from multiple agencies line up on Fifth Avenue. The line stretched from 42nd Street to 34th Street. It was the largest canine lineup ever in the history of the New York City Police Department, and quite likely the largest canine lineup in the history of the country. Police Officer George Washington, New York City Transit Police K9 Unit. Everyone has seen the iconic photo . Everyone has seen the iconic photo of a smooth-looking transit cop in a leather jacket standing in front of a turnstile with his police dog. They had a look about them that said, "Mess around and find out." To this day, it is one of the most iconic photos of that era. That was George Washington and K9 King. George is one of the original members of the New York City Transit Police K9 Unit who were trained in Philadelphia by Jack Apollonia. Transit Police Officer George Washington retired in 1990 after 20 years of service patrolling the subways. His dog King was a highly decorated transit canine known for many apprehensions during his years of service. He was also vigilant and protective of the Washington family until his passing. His son, Brian Washington, followed in his father's footsteps, joining the NYPD and retired as a detective after 20 years of service. His daughter, Tracy Washington, joined the ranks as a New York City correction officer, currently in her 10th year of service. Mr. Washington enjoys spending time with his extended family, including his 4 adult grandchildren. K9 94 is named King in honor of Police Officer George Washington and K9 King. Police Officer Brian Rutherford, Transit Bureau. For those who knew Brian, he was a friendly, personable, and humble person to all. He showed excellence in his police work and respect to his peers. He loved spending as much time with his family and friends as possible. Brian enjoyed playing sports. A longtime member of the Transit District 30 team, he loved to play for the district softball team. He also enjoyed playing hockey. Brian was a 25-year veteran when he lost his battle to September 11th related cancer. K9 93 is named Ruddy in honor of Police Officer Brian Rutherford. Inspector John Moore, Transit Bureau. Inspector John Moore is one of the reasons we are all here today. When the idea of starting a K9 unit within the Transit Bureau was being considered, he called to ask me if I was interested in being the commanding officer. After I accepted and began to build the unit, it was under his leadership. Creating and running a canine unit is a very demanding task. It required resources that were scarce. I went to him with a lot of asks. If it were anyone else, I would have gotten scolded and thrown out. The most I ever got out of Inspector Moore was a raised eyebrow. He was a man that I liked, but after working for him, he became a man that I loved. Anyone who ever worked with him and with him would say the same thing. He cared deeply about the people in his life. He made a significant impact in the Transit Bureau, and I know he's laughing right now at that joke. Inspector Moore referred to his life as a puzzle because each piece of it fits so perfectly together. He loved his family, his job, and volunteering within the local community. Part of his time with the community came as a softball and basketball coach for St. Pancras CYO. Inspector Moore dedicated over 20 years of his life coaching numerous kids in both softball and basketball, and it was something that that gave him great joy. K9 95 is named Coach in honor of Inspector John Moore. Firefighter Terrence McShane, FDNY. The following biographical was written by police officer Susan Cronin, the handler of the dog. The tradition in the K9 unit is to name your new K9 partner after a fallen member of the service. Deciding which of these incredible heroes to commemorate is always done with care and reverence. In the early years of my career, I played soccer with the NYPD soccer team. We traveled the world and met officers from many different countries. It was through this group that I met Kathy McShane, an easygoing, fun mother of three, and we became fast friends. Terrence McShane, Kathy's late husband, was a fallen New York City firefighter who started his career as a police officer in New York City. When the time came for me to decide how to honor one of the fallen heroes, this was an easy choice for me to make. Terrence McShane was a true hero who was not only an NYPD sergeant in the 100th precinct, but also an FDNY firefighter who lost his life in the South Tower of the World Trade Center on September 11th. His son, Colin, has chosen to honor him by following in his father's footsteps and is currently a New York City firefighter. K9 83 is named Shane in honor of firefighter Terrence McShane. Such a big crowd for a little dog. A special thank you to our firefighter brethren who came to show support today. Thank you. Specialist Daniel Fuentes, U.S. Army. Specialist Fuentes joined the Army right out of high school, where he was on the wrestling team. He was 19 years old when he was killed by a roadside IED in Baghdad in service to his country. His girlfriend at the time, who is now currently on the NYPD, was expecting his son when he was killed. Danny is survived by his mother, father, brother, sister, son, niece, nephew, and family members. Officer Brian Buth is naming K9 58 Danny in honor of his friend, Specialist Daniel Fuentes of the U.S. Army. It should be noted that Officer Brian Buth is a combat veteran and Purple Heart recipient, and this is his second K9. Officer John Jackson, Nassau County Police Mounted Unit. Officer John Buddy, as he was known, Jackson, was a 34-plus year veteran of the Nassau County Police Department. He started his career in the 4th Precinct and spent the last 19 years of his career in the Mounted Unit. He passed away on September 28, 2014, after spending a short time working in the city at Ground Zero on September 11th. K9 53 is named Jackson in honor of Police Officer John Jackson of the Nassau County Police Department. This is Officer Evan Ostrovsky's second K9. He's a jumpy lad. Corrections Officer Todd Putman and K9 Theos. Todd Putman is a very dedicated K9 handler who works at the Nassau County Sheriff's Office. He's very active in Region 7 of the United States Police K9 Association and is also an instructor during the large training caning exercises that we do at the State Preparedness Training Center in upstate Oriskany, New York. This is his second K9 partner after the recent passing of his first dog named Haas. Today, he is graduating with his first explosive detection K9 named Theos, which means God in Greek. Nassau County Sheriff has allowed us to use their training facility to train all of the dogs that you saw graduating today. With us is Commissioner Michael Sposato, Deputy Undersheriff Thomas Sullivan, and Sergeant Corsini. Miss Del Preti, will you come up, please? Miss Del Preti. I would also like to point out that Miss Del Preti donated this dog to the Nassau County Sheriff's Office. This is one of the benefactors of our region. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the presentation of the graduates. I would like to present to you the graduating class of 2023.
Congratulations once again to all of today's graduates, both four-legged and two-legged. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the benediction by Police Department Deputy Chief Chaplain, Father George Anastasio.
Heavenly Father, as we conclude this graduation ceremony, we commit all those in attendance to your care and to your providence. May your benediction reside within the hearts and minds of all those here present. Amen.
Thank you, Father George. Please remain standing and join us in the singing of God Bless America, which will be led by Police Officer Taylor Cannon.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Thank you, Officer Cannon. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. On behalf of the members of our dais, I'd like to thank everyone for attending here today.